Okay guys, today we are starting a new playlist. It's called Central Tendency. You're going to learn about several things. Some you might already know, some you might not. So for today, what you need is this paper that is a foldable that says mean, median, and mode, and range. And then you also need this one that says histogram. Okay, so we're going to begin with this one. So what I need you to do is just put your other one to the side and fold it like this for me, okay, so because we're going to go ahead and make it a little foldable here. Alright, perfect. And we're going to start with median, okay? And how this works is this is all different kinds of statistical stuff. You'll be reading charts, you'll be working with numbers, and there's different ways of doing that. And the main way, a lot of times what they ask you is for your median, mode, range, and mean. So we're going to start with that. So for our median, just so we know what a median is, I'm not sure if you've ever seen one, but a median that runs on the street to where it separates on traffic, that is in the middle. And that's exactly what the median is. The median is the middle value. Okay? It's the exact middle value. And just so you know, if you ever run across where there are two middle values, then you have to add them and divide by 2. Okay? So I have two different examples. We have one with just one median and one with two medians, so you can see how they both work. Now, what I do, there's two ways, and I'll show you both. I normally just put my fingers, especially if there's not many numbers, and I just work my way in. So we have this one, we work to the next number, to the next number, to the next number, till we find our middle value. And in this case, 10 is our median. Okay? Now, another way you can do it is you can mark off each end until you hit the middle. So, like, go here, here, until you hit the middle numbers. Sometimes it gets confusing when you have a lot of numbers. So, that's why I said to make sure, you know what I mean? But if you look, we took off this one, this one, this one, this one, and then this time we're left with the median of 9. Okay? Sometimes you might end up with two medians, so like if we were to end up with 9 and 10, you would add these together, which would be 19, and then you would divide it by 2, which would be 9.5. And that's how you do that, okay? So, that's our median. So remember, median is always your middle value. So you can either work with your fingers or work with counting them off, however you want to do and whichever way works better for you. Now your mode. Your mode is the value that is repeated the most. Okay, now understand your numbers will always not be put in order. If your numbers are not in order, you need to put them in order. Because for all this to work correctly and for you to be able to work on the next level of things that we're doing, your values always need to be put in order, okay? So in this case, it's already in order for us, and if we look at it, what would be our mode? And it says the number that's repeated most, or the value, which is number. Okay, well if you look, the only value that we have repeated most is 11. So that would be our mode. Mode, I feel, is the easiest one, guys, because it's just looking, and sometimes you might have two modes, sometimes you might have, you might think you have two modes, but really there's another number somewhere. That's why I said make sure you organize them. Alright, let's go ahead and move down to range. Range is the difference between the lowest number and the highest number. And this time I didn't put them in order because I wanted you to see a different way. So we have to find the lowest number. And if we look at all of our numbers, our lowest number is 2. And our highest number is 21. So what it says is if we take 21 minus 2, okay, and you just subtract 21 minus 2, and whatever you get is your range. In this case, it would be 19. So 19 is our range. Perfect. All right. Let's move on to the last one. Everybody seems to think that this is the hardest one, and really it's not. You just need to remember the rule when it comes to mean, okay? Mean is the average. An average is just taking some values and adding them up and dividing by how many values there are. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So you add the values and then divide by how many values there are. So let's look at what I mean by that. So here we have 5 plus 10 is 15, plus 10 is 25, plus 20 is 45. Okay? So we've added it up. Now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to divide by 4. That's 1. Bring that down. Sorry, that's a 5. 4 goes into 5 one time. Bring that down. Put a decimal. Add a 0. That goes 2 times. And that's 8. So our average is 11.2. Or 11. It just depends what they have it. Sometimes they might have you estimated, okay? So, if you look, there's our average. That sometimes I think is the hardest because you will have a lot of numbers and you have to add them all up, guys. But don't get discouraged. Just put them in order, add them up, and divide by how many there are. It's very simple. Okay? So now let's take this and we're going to put this to the side real quick and we're going to talk about histograms. And I chose to go with histograms because histograms are kind of easier to see with mean, median, and mode, and box plots, but we'll get to those later. Okay, so let's pull out our other paper, which is also a foldable. And we're going to fold it like this. Okay, and we're not going to talk about this part because we probably on a test will never make a histogram, but you need to know how a histogram is made, so you'll see it done, but don't worry about that one. So we're going to talk about what is a histogram. Okay, a histogram is a graph that shows the frequency of data using bars. Okay, so it shows the frequency of data using bars. It uses continuous data. Okay, and they are always evenly spaced bars. Now, you have bar graphs, and you've seen a bar graph before. Might not be ringing a bell, but you have. But the difference between a bar graph and an Instagram is that the bars in histogram touch. Okay, so the bars on a histogram touch, and you'll see example here at the bottom. Like I said, just make sure we don't need this. Okay. Now, when you're making a histogram, you always need a frequency table. So we're going to make ourselves a little frequency table right here, which is just like this, okay? And unfortunately, the numbers were done incorrectly, so we're going to mark these out and we'll fix it, okay? And how this works is we're going to look at our average of numbers and we're going to kind of come up with maybe 2 to 3 numbers on each table. Most of the time this will already be done for you, but we're doing it today. So if you look, our lowest number is 19 and our highest number is 30, okay? So we're going to do, let's do 19 through 21, 22 through 24, 25 through 27, 28 through 30, okay? And what we have here, we need to write down here. So 19 through 21, 22 through 24, 25 through 27, and 28 through 30, okay? So now let's tally these. Tallies are just little tally marks that you have. So let's look. How many 19s do we have? We have 1. Okay, and what I do is I highly recommend you mark it off when you're done. Do we have any 20s? No 20s. We do have a 21, so let's mark him off and mark him on here. Okay, so looks like we've gotten those. So let's go to the next ones. Do we have any 22s? No. Do we have any 23s? Yes. We have 1. We have 1, okay, and I'll show you just a second because I saw an error, so we're going to fix that. Any 24s? Yes, we have 1, 2, 1, 2, okay. Looks like we're done with those, so let's go down to 25. How many 25s do we have? 1, 2, 2, okay. How many 26s? 1, only 1. How many 27s? 1, okay. How many 28s? Looks like we don't have any 28s. How about 29s? 1 and 30s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. Actually 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you notice, we have an 18, guys. So actually, this one we'll do 18 to 21. That's a mistake on my part. I'm sorry about that. And it'll just change this to 3. Okay. So now, how do we build our histogram? If you notice, our numbers on our frequency is by 2s, which is okay. So let's start with the 18 to 21. How many do we have? We have 3. So our bar needs to go up to 3. Okay, so there's our first bar. Alright, now, the next bar is also 3. Well, that makes it easy. Now, remember, they touch, okay? So you're going to come up, and you're going to have them touch each other like that. Now, our next one is 4. So we're going to go up a little bit to 4. And we're going to come over and connect. Alright, and our last one is 4 also, so we can just continue our connection here. So this is a histogram. If you notice, our bars are touching. Our frequency is evenly spaced bars. So everything looks good. This is a good, perfect histogram. Okay. If I were to read a histogram, sometimes they'll ask you, what is your most frequency for, say, this time we're talking about math quizzes, and in this case we would actually have 2, which would be 25 to 30. Sometimes they might ask who has the lowest. Sometimes they might ask you about your mode. In this case, if you look, our mode would have been 1, 2, 3. We had 330, so that would have been our mode. Sometimes they might ask you what your median is. Okay? And you have to write out the numbers and figure that out, guys. You would not use this. You'd actually write out your numbers to figure that out. I'm trying to think of some other questions, but really, this is pretty much how it is. It's very simple questions, just using the histogram. If you have any more questions, please get with your teachers. Otherwise, move on to practice and then on to your check for understanding. Again, if you need help, please schedule a workshop or get with one of your teachers as soon as you can. Thank you and have a great day.